Alright boys, welcome back to another video. Daily Broncos here. Today we're going to be previewing the Indianapolis Colts game this week. If the Broncos win, they will instantly knock off the Colts from at least beating them for a playoff spot. They can still win the AFC South with some massive help. They can still pass the Chargers, the Ravens. Before Denver, they're essentially making the playoffs no matter what if they win this game, which would be huge because they haven't made the playoffs since what, like Peyton Manning, since when he retired. So it's been a long time. Seems like Denver finally has started to figure things out. Defensively, they're the best in football, in my opinion. Offensively, they're playing like one of the best units because of Bo Nix. Sean Payton's play calling, the young receivers getting involved. The offensive line's been elite. It's top 10 in both. It's actually number 1 in pass blocking. In terms of run blocking, it's, I think, 7th at the top of my head. So the O-line is killing it. Everything's just coming together. Exactly why Denver is 8-5. They nearly beat Kansas City a few games ago, had that block kick. So if you're a Broncos fan, I mean, you could not ask for anything more than what the team has given you so far. So why not just continue to run the table and knock off the Colts? Because at that point, the only other team that would be a threat is going to be the Dolphins. If the Dolphins win out, they can finish 10-7. The Broncos, I mean, they'd be 9-5. All they got to do essentially is just win one more game the rest of the way. They've got the Chargers, Bengals, and Chiefs. I don't see them losing those 3 games. So the Broncos are going to the playoffs. I think it's almost inevitable at this point. Mathematically, it's not. But this team is just way too good. And I've been saying that even going back to midseason, early on in the year, ever since the Broncos, they were able to put 3 straight wins together. When you go back to when they beat the Bucks, beat the Jets, beat the Raiders, is this team, they've got something special brewing, and no team is going to want to play them because there aren't many teams. I don't think there's a single team other than the Broncos that's going to make the playoffs that has this good of a pass rush. And we saw the Chiefs struggle with it mightily. Mahomes had no answer for it. I mean, yeah, they got out of there with a win, like a really lucky win. But this is only year 1 of Bo Nix. This is year 2 of Sean Payton. And the team's already showing that they can hang with just about anyone in the NFL. The one game that Denver wasn't in was Baltimore. But they were in the game with Kansas City, Los Angeles, Pittsburgh, Seattle. Like literally, that's the 4 teams they've lost to are going to the playoffs. And only one of the games was lopsided. So Denver, I mean, this is awesome. This is perfect. So let's preview the Colts game, though. I've seen every Colts game this year, so I find it hard to believe that you're going to watch a Broncos video this week that's going to be able to preview the game better for me. So here we go. So the first thing that you guys are going to need to know about the Colts is probably, exactly where I'm going to this, and that's going to be Anthony Richardson. So Richardson, if you guys haven't seen much of him, maybe you haven't seen any of him this season, do not just go and click on his stats. He's got, 9 interceptions, 7 touchdowns. He's 27th in QBR. Numbers can be misleading. I don't think they lie. Richardson hasn't really played the best, but the last 3 starts, he's actually graded as a top 10 quarterback according to PFF. He's been efficient. He's led 2 game-winning drives in those 3 games ever since coming back from being benched. Richardson's completely turned around his young career. It looked like he was dead in the water, where he tapped out of a game. Again, he was benched for what was supposed to be the remainder of the season. He was playing poorly, to put it lightly. But he's come back with a vengeance, sort of like Lazarus. He's risen from the dead. And Richardson's playing some high-level football. He's dealt with a lot of drops, which is exactly why the Colts only scored 6 points against the Lions. There's a wide-open touchdown drop. He's had multiple touchdowns drop within the past couple of weeks. Richardson's playing well. Not to mention he can use his legs. So for the Broncos, how they're going to be able to get after Richardson is they're going to have to put a spy on him and just make him throw the ball into tight windows. We do know that the Broncos love to send pressure. Vance Joseph loves to dial up blitzes. That's going to be the key. Is you're going to want to pressure Richardson, whether it's rushing 4, rushing 3, setting pressure. But in terms of just putting him in one-on-one coverages and making him make throws, that's what you're going to want to do to be able to beat him. Because the Colts, they're going to look to establish the run early and often. Don't be surprised if the Colts can't run the ball early on and they just continue to try it. They're never going to be a team that just drops back 3 straight downs and lets Richardson throw it because he doesn't have the accuracy yet. And Richardson, he can read a defense. He knows where to go with the ball, but he's just not that accurate. He misses high a lot. Not to mention the Colts have the worst tight ends, at least in terms of production-wise, in football. If you guys, the Broncos tight ends have kind of been getting it going. But remember, at beginning of the season, the Broncos tight ends were non-existent. The Colts is even worse. The tight ends don't do anything for this Colts team. The one play that a tight end's done anything for the Colts would be Molly Cox, which was a huge play. It was I think it was like 4th and 7 or 4th and 8 or something like that. And then in the Patriots game, and he caught that first down to extend that final drive. So you don't have to worry about the tight ends. Alec Pierce is leading the NFL in yards per reception with, I think it's like 26 or something. I can pull it up for you guys right now. So 20, or not that quite, but 22.2. Which is it's 6th in the NFL, but I think in terms of qualifying, he's got to be number 1. He's caught 29 passes for 645 yards, which is just like unheard of. You don't see that very often. So the Broncos, they're going to have to get after Richardson. They're going to have to account for Alec Pierce's deep threat ability. Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs is going to be good to go. He did miss the Patriots game, but off of that bye, he's now had 2 weeks of extra rest, essentially. Jonathan Taylor is the best player, I would say, not only on the offense, but on the Colts in general. So, taking away him is going to be huge. JT has struggled. He actually has the most yards per carry in the final 2 months of a regular season in NFL history, but he just has not gotten it going. And the reason why he hasn't gotten it going is because the offensive line for the Colts has just been derailed with injuries. So I'm looking at Ryan Kelly on the IR, Will Fries, who was their starting right guard coming into the year, is on the IR. Braden Smith's been hurt. Tanner Bortolini ended up getting hurt, the backup center, and then the Colts went to their 3rd string, Danny Pinner. Now, Dalton Tucker originally was the right guard. He didn't play against the Patriots because he was just flat out bad. So the Colts are just mixing and matching offensive linemen. Matt Goncalves, who was, I think, a 3rd-round rookie for them. 3rd-round rookie, he's basically like I don't know what they call it in football, but he can play guard, he can play tackle, he can play both tackles. He came in against the Patriots and played well. So Denver, they're going up against basically what I'm trying to say is they're going up against an offensive line that is just completely derailed with injuries. A quarterback that struggles to throw under pressure. Every quarterback struggles to throw under pressure, but Richardson it might be the worst in football from a statistical standpoint. He hasn't been able to run the ball because there's no blocking. If he's not a factor in this game, the Colts don't have a chance. Like if Jonathan Taylor has, let's say, 16 carries for 65 yards, like there's no way the Colts are winning this game unless the Broncos offense does nothing. But we're about to get into that in a second. The Colts offense is one of the worst in football. So that's the offense for the Colts. The defense for the Colts, this is a huge strength, a huge weakness for them. So the Colts, they actually are giving up 147 rushing yards per game, which is 31st, and 232.4 passing yards per game, which is 26th. Why is the Colts defense so bad? To me, it's their coaching. I think Gus Bradley is just not a very good defensive coordinator. He hasn't been good for years now. For some reason, the Colts continue to employ him. He plays a lot of zone coverage, rarely blitzes. So if you're Bo Nix, you know that, hey, look, they're not going to blitz me. So you're just going to sit back there and take your time in the pocket, find an opening in the zone. If you guys remember the preseason, the Broncos and the Colts played, and Bo Nix had no trouble whatsoever moving the ball down the field. And that was before he even played a single NFL star. Obviously, there was a preseason. So you guys remember that game. That was the Colts' one and only loss in the preseason. Bo Nix was just moving the ball down the field and looked special. So against the Colts, zone coverage, they're not going to blitz. They do have a great front. Indy has a great front. D-Buck, Kwity Paye, Tyquan Lewis is very underrated. I bet you a lot of Broncos fans don't really know him. He plays for the Colts, and he's not a starter. He's really good. They've got Grover Stewart and Roquan Davis are run stuffers. Dio Dengbo is very good. Leatu Latu was the first defensive player off the board, of course. Ebukam hasn't played all year. Linebackers for the Colts, EJ Speed and Zaire Franklin. EJ Speed misses a lot of tackles, but Zaire Franklin's really, really good. Grant Stewart's a special teams guy that's starting just due to injuries. No Juju Brents, who I would say is their best outside corner. Samuel Womack, the third, has played decently, has moments. And Nick, actually, you know what? Sorry about that. No, he's not. Jalen Jones is definitely their best outside corner. Juju Brents is good, but he just can't stay healthy. But yeah, Jalen Jones has played like a Pro Bowler this year. Kenny Moore the second, All-Pro nickel corner. Nick Cross leads the league in tackles. He's really good. So the Colts have good players, is what I'm trying to say. But their defense sinks. That's why I blame the coaching. You guys will see. You'll see this game. Bo Nix will move the ball down the field. The Broncos will be able to run the ball. It's just going to come down to the Colts offense attacking the Broncos defense. The Colts are going to have to put up points. If the Colts don't score probably, I'll say 26 to 30 points, they're not winning this game. And how many times has a team done that against Denver this season? I mean, let's go look. Not very often. So what? The Browns did it. The Ravens did it. That's 2. The Chargers did it. The Chargers didn't do it. They only scored 23. So how many teams have scored 30? I think it's literally 2. Yeah, 2 teams this season have scored 30 in the Broncos. I don't see a world where the Colts don't score like 25 to 30 and win this game because the Broncos are going to move the ball. Like the Colts, like you pull up their schedule, let's see how many times they've given up. Let's go 27 or more. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The Colts have given up 27 or more 4 times this season.